So we have the function f, our input x, and out it comes y. So if we think about all the things we learned this school year, we learned a lot about our input and our output. We learned how to evaluate these functions algebraically. For example, if I were to say f of 2 or f of 3, you would know to substitute and evaluate the function for those x values. What we're going to take a look at right now is how to do this graphically. And so this is something we did take a look at earlier in the school year, so it should seem familiar. So let's take a look at point A. Here is point A on our graph, and I can tell that the coordinates of point A are 4, 8. How do I know this? Well, I know that the first coordinate point is always the x value. So here's my x-axis, and I look at the point. First, I go down to see the x value, which is 4. And then I go left to see the y value, which is 8. So again, the point A, first down to the x-axis 4, left to the y-axis 8. So I know now that this is the point 4, 8. Well, what if someone asked me f of x is 8? I would need to find x. If I asked you f of 4 equals blank, I would need to find y. So if I take a look at the first example, this says f of x is 8. Thinking about what I saw before, if it's f of x is y, we always ask ourselves, what are we given? In this case, we're given the y value. So I would need to go to y equals 8 on my axis. Remember, this is our vertical axis. And I would need to find where the point is. So here is 8 on the y-axis. I would go right, boom. When I hit point A, I need to figure out what the x value is. And I would go down to 4 to see that. So similarly, what if I say f of 4? Well, now I know that x is 4. So I would go to the x-axis at 4, and I would see where the point is. So I see I have to go up, 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 and I see the point here. Therefore, I know that when x is 4, y is 8. So this is the 2 ways that I might ask us this question. Eventually, you would want to say this: f of 4 is 8. That means x is 4 and y is 8. Okay. Take another second to look at what we have here, because this is exactly what our drill is going to look like. I will either give you the x value or give you the y value, and you will need to give me what is missing. You may need to move closer to your Chromebook if you want to get an extra look at the graph. Let's get started. Okay, first question. What is the value of g of 5? G of 5. Take a second to think. Giving us some think time here. G of 5. What do we know? And what does this equal? Go ahead, Rayanne, start us off. What is G of 5?
G of 5 is 7, because if you look on the x-axis, if 5 is x and you go up and you see that 7 is y, that means that x is 5 and y is 7.
Beautifully said. Great job, Rayanne. Yes, G of 5 is 7. Again, 5 on our x-axis up to the point we see is at 7. This beautiful point right here. You should see my mouse on that point now. Okay, next question. F of 8. This one can be a little tricky. F of 8. Think about what you are given and what you need. F of 8. I'd love to hear from William. William, what do you think? F of 8. What do you know? What are you missing?
We're missing output or like a y value. So is it just a f of x? Is just that, or like, yeah.
Okay, so we know x is 8, right? So here is 8. What's the y value at this x equals 8? What's the y value of that point there?
0.
Beautiful. So say it all together. F of 8 is?
F of 8 is 0.
Beautiful. Very nice, William. That one can be a little tricky, right? Like, what is this line? Well, we know that that's 0, so don't be confused by that. Great job, William. Beautiful. Okay, next question. K of 0. What is the value of K of 0? We're going to go a little bit faster here, so be ready. K of 0. What is the value for K of 0? I'd like to hear from Zahara. Zahara, can you tell us what is the value for K of 0?
Value for K of 0 will be 3.
Beautiful. Great job, Zahara. And again, that 0 value can be a little bit weird. So remember, 0 for X is this Y axis. So here is 0 up to 3. Great job, Zahara. K of 0 is 3. Okay, next question. G of -4. What is the value for G of -4? Okay, I'd love to hear from Brandon S. Brandon, what do you think is the value for G of -4? Brandon, waiting on you.
I think it is 8.
Beautiful. So G, say it all together. G of -4.
G of -8. G of -4 equals 8.
Beautiful. Very nice, Brandon. Good job. All right. Next question. Evaluate f of x equals 4, x equals blank. How is this question different than what we did here? So here I say g of -4. Here I'm saying f of x is 4. How is this question different than what we just saw? Take a second to think. How is this question different than what we saw in the others? Want to hear from Kyla O. Go ahead, Kyla. How is this question different than what we saw?
Oh, we were given the X value, and which in this case we're given the Y value, so we have to look for the X value.
Beautiful. Great.
And it may be 2 X values.
Oh, say that again. Go ahead.
And it may be 2 X values depending on the graph.
Beautifully said. Great job, Kyla. Yes. So here we have the Y value instead of the X. And Kyla did a beautiful job of pointing out that there might even be more than one answer. So this question is a little bit harder because instead of looking at the X axis, we need to start by looking at the Y values. So here is Y equals 4. You should see my mouse on Y equals 4. And now we need to look left and right, left and right. Are there any points where Y is 4? So if I look to the left, well, there's no points here. But if I look to the right, there is a point, the point right here. So I know Y is 4, which was given to me. But now I need to go down and see what the X value is. And we should see that the X value here is 4. So now we know that when Y is 4, X is 4, which should give us the point 4, 4. Take a second to digest what I just said. And remember that we are given Y here instead of X. All right, let's try one ourselves. If G of X is 8, what are the X values? Hint, there is more than one answer. What are the X values if G of X is 8? What are the x values if g of x is 8? Okay, go ahead and start us off, Khalid. What do you think? If g of x is 8, what are the x values?
If g of x is 8, the x values would be -1,
Good, so that's this first point here. Next.
-4,
Okay.
and -5.
-5 is over here, Khalid. That would be 6. So you're almost there. Try one more time. -1, that's the first point.
-1, -3, and -4.
Beautiful. Great job. Yes, we have 3 different answers. So remember, there are 3 answers because there were 3 different points where the y value was 8. 3 different points where the y value was 8 here. Okay, let's try one more. If k of x is 0, what is the x value? And this one has a lot of different answers. So take a look at your graph. If y is 8, what are the x values? I want to call on 2 people here because there's a lot of answers. Okay, go ahead and start us off. Emmanuel, I want to hear from Emmanuel and then Antoine. Want to hear from Emmanuel and Antoine. Go ahead, Emmanuel. Can you give us the values of x that are negative?
Okay. If k of if k of x is 0, then x is equal to -7, -5, and -3.
Beautiful, Emmanuel. Great job. So we have 3 points on the left, -7, -5, and -3. Beautiful. Antoine, can you help us out with the positive x values? 3 answers. Can you tell us what they are?
2, 4, and 6.
Beautiful. Great job. Awesome. Beautiful teamwork there. So we should have 3 answers: -7, -5, -3, 2, 4, and 6. Beautifully done. Okay, great work, everybody. So love your engagement there. Some quick spiral to get us thinking about functions. And I want to stay here for a little bit because not everyone got to talk. I want to hear from a few more people. So we're going to jump into some practice, which is exactly this. And so if you're still a little bit confused, I'm going to model a question for us with some colors and some more visuals so that we can make sure we're all on the same page. Alrighty, so you should see right now the teacher model of the portion of your handout. And I'm going to quickly just do a couple of examples and zoom in so that we can see exactly what I mean in case you were still a bit confused with the drill. Alrighty, starting off with number 1, I'm going to use my favorite color here. So if f of 2 is given to me, I know x is 2. So on my x-axis, that is this axis right here, on the x-axis, I'm going to go to x equals 2. So here is x equals 2. This whole piece right here is x equals 2. So I know I'm looking for this point right there. Looking at that point, I know that the y value has to be -2. Again, x was 2. That brought me to this point right here. So I can say f of 2 is -2. That's our first answer. F of 2 is -2. Okay, next question. F of -7. Well, I know that x is -7. So again, now I'm going to look at my x-axis. X is -7, so that's here. So I'm looking for any points here when x is -7. I see that that's happening here at this point. So that's at that point right there. So I know that f of -7, the y value is 0. F of -7 is 0. All right, so again, for A and B were similar because we were given X value. We were given the X value. And C and D look very different. So in C, this is the Y value. So I'm told that f of X is 3. F of X is 3. So I know the Y value is 3. That's given to me. So now I need to look here. This is when Y is 3. Do I hit the graph at any of those points? And I see that that happens right here. So I can say, this is the only point when Y is 3. So remember, this is my Y value here, 3. So now I'm gonna, after I look at the X value, I need to go down and figure out what my X value is. So you should see it here now. When Y is 3, when Y is 3, X is -3. X is -3. X is -3. It should have been our final answer there. And finally, f of X is -1. Here we know Y is -1, so we're going to repeat a similar process. -1 is this piece right here. And so I'm definitely going to think about what Kyla said. So if I'm looking here, how many points should I have as my answer? Take a look at the screen right now and write me in the chat. How many answers should I have for when Y is -1? How many X values should I need to write for my answer if X is -1? Go ahead and write me in the chat. I want to see our answers here. Okay, I'm seeing a lot of different answers here. So let me backtrack for a second. Okay, when it says f of X is -1, the first thing we know is the Y value. We know that Y is -1. So what we did was, and of course this is difficult because you don't have the paper in front of you, is we drew a line through Y equals -1. When we were in school, that was our annotation strategy. So when I look here, there's no points over here, right? So no negative values, there's no points over here. But if I look here, we're looking for how many answers should I have? Well, how many times does Y equal -1? It happens here, it happens here, and it happens here. So you should have said that there were 3 answers. I saw a lot of us saying 2. Maybe you forgot about the one all the way over here, so be careful. There are 3 different answers. Our first point is going to be at X equals 1, then at X equals 3. And don't forget about this one all the way over here, okay? Be super careful. This is also one of the points, all right? So don't forget about one, even if it's all the way on the right or all the way on the left, be careful. 1, 3, and 9. Again, we should have 3 different answers. X is 1, X is 3, and X is 9. Okay. Take a second and digest what we just did. And right now, I want us to capture some reminders for our end of year exam. What do we need to remember if we see a question like this? Okay, let's get ready to jot down some reminders. Okay, the first thing I want us to remember is just the general information about functions. So remember, f of x is y. We want to remember that x is our input and y is our output. First reminder, f of x is y. X is our input and y is our output. Second thing is that if we are given something such as f of x is 4, what do we know? That means we're given y is 4 and we need to find x or the input. If we're given something such as f of x is 4, given y, we need to find x. And then similarly, if I say f of 4 equals blank, f of 4 equals blank, then we know we're given x equals 4. And we need to find y or the output. 3 major things we need to remember. X is our input, y is our output. Sometimes we're given one or the other. And finally, the last thing we want to remember is what Kyla pointed out for us at the very beginning of class, like we just saw here in our last example, which is that we can have multiple answers. There can be multiple answers for the input x or output y. And again, these reminders are so that when we are taking our end of year exam, you can come back to them and think to yourself, what did we say that day in class? Okay, 4 key reminders here. What's X? What's Y? Which one am I given? Which one do I need? And finally, there can be multiple answers, sometimes 2, sometimes 4. All depends on your graph. All right, let's lock this in by getting some independent practice time. You have 2 graphs and a couple of different questions here. So let's go ahead and jump in here. I think we can do these fairly quickly. So if you finish this before I call time, feel free to move on to the extra practice questions. There is a problem set B here that I would love for us to get to. So let's start with problem set A, and let's take 5 minutes here. But if you're done before me, feel free to move on. All right, reference your key reminders if you get stuck. I'm going to zoom into the graph in case you want to be able to see it like super, super big. Okay, there it is. Again, if you want to use my screen, I've zoomed into the graph and you should still be able to see all of the questions. So go ahead and jump in there. Okay, we should be wrapping this up in about 40 seconds. All right, ladies and gentlemen, let's go ahead and jump in. Let's make sure we are all on the right track. And if you're not, that's fine. We will figure it out together. Okay, for number one, I want to hear from, for number one, listen up for your name. We are going to go Kaya for number one, Chris for B, Kamisi for C, and Catherine for D. Okay, so Kaya, Chris, Kamisi, and Catherine. We've got some alliteration going on here. If you know what that is, I hope we all do. All right, let's go ahead and start. Kaya with A. Tell me what you have and what you need to find.
I said f of -1. That meant that x was -1, and we had to find the y values.
Okay, so here's x is -1. We go down, 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 down. What was the y value there?
The y value was -6.
Beautiful. Great job, Kaya. F of -1 equals -6. Good. Great job. Chris, B. F of 2.
2.
So if x is 2, what do you know?
We'll have to find the y.
Okay, so here's when x is 2. So what's the y value there?
Y value is
So it's just on the x-axis, right? So what's that y value right there?
2.
Not 2. X is 2. But if it didn't move on the y-axis, what would it say?
Let's see. Wait, you said.
So this is y equals 0, right? So what is the y value there? If x is 2.
Oh, y is 0.
Beautiful. So we can say f of 2. Chris, say it all together. F of 2 is?
F of 2 is y equals 0.
Beautiful. Great job. All right. C, Kamisi, if f of x is -4, what are your x values?
My x values will be 1 and -2.
Beautiful. X is 1 and x is -2. Take a second to look at the screen if you're confused as to why. That straight line I drew is through y equals -4. We have 2 answers, 2 points where this happens. Great job, Kamisi. And go ahead and capture that if you need to. All right, Catherine's mic unfortunately is not working, so we're gonna stick with our alliteration. Kamari, can you help us out here? If f of x is 6, I'm gonna go ahead and draw our line through there. If f of x is 6, what are the x values here?
The x values are +3 and +4.
+4?
Wait, +3 and -4.
Beautiful. Say it again.
The x values are +3 and -4.
And -4. Beautiful. If you need that visual anchor for what Kamari is saying, here is our 2 points, 3 and -4. Okay, 3 and -4. Beautiful work, everybody. Let's move on to our next piece. For number 2, what is the other input value other than -2 for when h of x is 2? So here's h of x is 2. They said besides -2, where else does this happen? I'll take a quick hand here. Besides -2, where is the other point? Where is the other point where the y value is -2? Some more alliteration. Let's go, Corel. What do you think?
All right, so the other point where h of x is 2 is at when x equals 6.
When x is 6. Beautiful. Great job, Carl. Yes, that is our other point we should have been looking for here. Since they already told us one of them was -2, this should have happened at 6. All right, beautiful work, everybody. All right, let's jump into the follow-ups here. H of 5. Want to hear from Yanellis for A. Yanellis for A. And then I'd love to hear from Ashley T. We're going to try that second one, okay, Ashley? All right, Yanellis, kick us off. If we know H of 5, what do we have? What do we need? Yanellis. Yanellis, if you're with us, I need you to unmute yourself and try to answer. Okay, Ebony, can you take this one for us? H of 5, what do we know? What do we need?
For H of 5, we know the input, which is 5, so we need the output, and I got that y equals 1.
Yep, it's close enough to 1. We'll say y is 1. Beautiful, great job, Ebony. Okay, Miss Ashley, let's go ahead and try this next one. H of -6. What is your x value? Gonna go ahead and highlight for us. H of -6. What is the x? What's the y value?
X is -6.
Mm-hmm.
And the y is 7.
Perfect. Y is 7. Great job, Ashley. Beautiful. All right, ladies and gentlemen, this is what we should have gotten for our front page. So impressed with us here. I know it's a little bit more difficult since you don't have the graph in front of you, but great work there. Awesome. All right. Beautiful job with the interpretation of functions here. Make sure you got down those key reminders from earlier and were listening to your peers as they spoke. Let's go ahead and jump into some quick spiral from some other functions that we haven't talked about in a little bit. Let's go ahead and take 6 minutes here. Actually, I'm going to cut us down a little bit. Let's take 4 minutes here. And I want to see if we can remember this first one. What does it mean for it to be steeper? Go ahead and jump in there. I know you are probably not finished, but please try to wrap up in the next 30 seconds. Alrighty, let's go ahead and jump into number 1. This is a word we have not talked about in a while, but if I say steeper, what do you think I mean when I say steeper? Go ahead and start us off here, JB. Let's go, Jalen Baskerville. What do you think I'm looking for here? Go ahead, Jalen. Jalen, we're waiting on you. What does it mean when I say steeper? And if you're not sure, that's fine. You can tell me that. Then we can work through it together. If you're with us, try to unmute. Okay, Jalen, I cannot hear you. So I'm gonna go Ebony M. Go ahead, Ebony. What do you think it means when I say steeper? Go ahead.
When you say steeper, I think you mean like when you look at it on the graph, like the one that is increasing faster than the others slope.
Yeah, increasing or decreasing, right? So faster. So what does that have to do with? The slope or the y-intercept?
That has to do with the slope.
So would I want the smaller slope or the bigger slope?
You will want the bigger slope if it's steeper.
Beautiful, correct. So we would want the greater slope here. So if you want to write down your reminder for that, because again, you might see this during your exam. If I say steeper, we want the one with the greater slope. Thank you, Jalen, for letting me know about your mic. I know it is not working. So if we're thinking about which function here has the steeper slope, well, which one has a bigger slope? 3 or 1/2? 3 or 1/2. Which of the slopes is bigger? Is it f of x or h of x? F of x or h of x? We should have said that it was f of x. Again, because it has the greater slope. It's going to increase faster, like Ebony said. Beautiful, great job there. Go ahead and jot down anything you missed. And quickly for number 2, we are looking for the functions that have the same axis of symmetry. Which of these do you think has the same axis of symmetry? If the vertex is at 4, 1, go ahead, Heaven, can you start us off with number 2? Heaven? What do you think? And if you don't remember, that's okay. Just we'll work through it together. Go ahead, Heaven.
I chose D.
D, okay. So let's talk about what we have here. If the vertex is at 4, 1, what's the axis of symmetry?
4.
X equals, say it again.
4. X equals 4.
Beautiful, X is 4. Good, so that means we're looking for a function that also has that, and you said it was?
D.
Why not B?
Because because it's in vertex form, so you
Oh.
have to change the x value. But if it's positive, you change it to negative, and if it's negative, you change it to positive.
Okay, Miss McLeod, beautiful vocab. We've been paying attention. Very nice. -4, 3. Be careful, that's that trap. Don't fall. Good job, Heaven. Very, very nice. Beautiful work there. Okay, great work today, everybody. Love, love, love all of our spiral and all the voices we got to hear from. If I didn't hear from you today, I want to hear from you this week, so be ready. For sake of time, I'm not going to go over 3 and 4, but your exit ticket should not take you long. I also want to make a comment about yesterday. If you forgot to turn in your exit ticket, please do so. There was a lot less exit tickets turned in than usual. So I'm not sure if we forgot or we forgot to finish, whatever the case is. You did not turn in your exit ticket yesterday. Please make sure to do so. There was lower turn in than usual. Same with today. Please make sure to get this exit ticket in. And if you need any support from me, please let me know. Otherwise, have a great day in English. Make sure to get in your classwork and your exit ticket. I will see you for our last class of the school year tomorrow. Have a great day, everybody.